There were so many that lost their businesses during that time. Hi, my name is Becky Norwood. I'm with Spotlight Publishing, and this is our E360 TV show, where we work with authors to provide the tips and tools and resources that are available to authors to keep those books, get exposure for their business as well, and make authorship worth the time and effort. So we typically offer. We do a showcase on authors, and we bring in experts. And today we're bringing in two experts and one gentleman who has written a number of books and has really he's always in the background for me. Just every time I get stuck on something, he's right there for me. So I want to bring in first Bruce Jones, and he has been on our show before. Bruce, happy to have you here. Just such a delight to have you again. And I just so treasure you as a person for all that you've always come to my rescue when I get stuck on how do I do this and how do I pull all this stuff together, and you have done a tremendous amount with book writing and working, kind of from years back in your background of book layout and design and all the things that go into it, but you've taken it much further because you write books, you teach classes on not only how to write a good book, but how to get that book out there and selling and keep on selling it. And it's the crucial thing. That's every question that an author will ask me is, well, and I typically can get them to really great high rankings and bestseller, but how do you keep that book selling? How do you keep your message out there? And that's just incredible. So tell the audience a little bit about you and what your latest projects are.
So I'm here on the East Coast in Connecticut, and I retired as a graphic designer, but I kept all my internet businesses. So that's one of the things I always talk about with people is that we live in this amazing age that we can create products, whether they're books or other things, and the world is really at our fingertips, so we can kind of do
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
So it's really, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to do this. Most of these things are free or very, very affordable. So my latest project, to jump on what you had said, this is my latest project, and this is one of the things I try to teach people is make sure if you have a product that you show people. And that's the common question that I get asked also is, I've published my book, what do I do now? How do I get it out there? And so I put everything that I have learned from creating over 50 books now, and marketing them across all different kinds of ways and topics. I put all that into this book. But basically, the method that I use for marketing is to take the content from your books, whatever it is, put it onto your website, your social media, your YouTube, whatever the platforms, the whole internet. Place that stuff out there. Spread it around, so like you can do.
Use it for your blogs. Use it for your social media.
For everything. Spread it around, and then give people a clear path back to get to it, see it, and then a clear path to buy it. Make it very, very easy. That's really the 4 pillars: is take your content, then spread it around, then make it easy to see it, and then make it easy to buy it. So
one of the things I'm doing, I've started offering my authors the ability to have like an introduction to their book in a flip book that it comes interactive with a live video inside of it. And that leads to where they're opting in to learn more about when their book's going to be released, the full book, and pretty cool stuff and it's just another tool set that makes it just so easy. to really continue to get our message out and to grow our business, attract our ideal clients. I wanted to bring in, and at this time we're going to bring in our second guest, and this is Craig Darling. Craig, I'm just so delighted because I know that you and Bruce have connected through an introduction I made. Yeah.
It's called collaboration.
It is. But Craig is really amazing because he has a system that really helps us to gain visibility, and that is through the use of our Google business page, using Google to really, really get the exposure. So I wanted to open up this conversation. And first of all, you introduce what you do a little more succinctly than I just did, and then we'll go into that conversation because I know that I need to finish up my training with you, but I know that Bruce has taken that training with you, and it's made a big difference. We've talked about it in our publishers masterminds and different things like that. So even though you got to be a guest in our publishers mastermind, Bruce keeps the horn blowing for you.
I appreciate that. And the cool thing about putting content into the various Google tools is that people are talking about you outside of those groups as well. It's an ever expanding tree. But what I do is I manage Google business profiles and the associated Google tools because they're the least expensive, most effective way to get your message out on the internet today. And that's really is what it is in the blink of an eye. And anybody can do it. Now, I have mastered how to do it, and we have clients really now all over the world, but anyone can do it. And it doesn't have to be you don't have to be tech savvy, right?
Well, I actually took the first couple of lessons and then got really busy and didn't go back to it. But I taught my daughter to, because she does all of my prep work for the book launches that I do. And that's one of the things that she's really good at it. And I have noticed, I'll get notices that I've had 300 more views on my Google pages. And it's pretty exciting when you see that it's actually working without a whole lot of extra work on my part.
And here's the crazy kicker: when you've been doing it for 2 years, that's going to be 50 or 60,000 a month.
That's pretty cool.
It just keeps building and building. And I don't really tell people, but I'm telling it right now. Everything what we do with the Google profile is organic. So even if I stop doing it for you tomorrow, it's still going to continue on.
Wow.
One of the things that I did based on Craig's training was he shows how to use Google Business, and it allows you to put products. One of the sections is to put new products, whatever it is, and it could be your new book, whatever. And I tied one of those products to an actual product with a different price point. So I can tell when I get a little order that comes through with that, different price on it, I go, oh, that came from Google. Like that's the only
It's pretty exciting, isn't it?
Right. If you take one of your products and just make it unique, use a Gumroad or someplace like that that's the only way that product gets found. And you can go, oh, okay. Craig's training worked. Look at that. Another order that comes through because that's the unique pricing that comes through. And you go, okay, that's the only way they would have found that. So you can use these tools to, as you said, just really spread stuff out. And if you sort of put some metrics on the end of it, some measuring devices, you can see that it's really positive and it's really working. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you're a pretty good study though, Bruce. I gotta say.
Well, he's kind of been around the block and he knows how to make all this stuff happen.
The other thing I would say is we have enormous changes coming as of Monday. The Facebook updates with the new phone are coming on Monday, and which has completely upended Facebook and its advertising. So it will be interesting to see, and Google's having to make a lot of shifts too. It'll be interesting to see how this all works. But because this is all organic and you're not really having to do verified things and all that kind of, it'll be interesting to see what happens. And by having this in the background, it's just, as different services go up and down, you want to sort of have a constant thing happening.
So what's really happening, and let me get to the bottom line so everyone can understand that. These changes are designed, they're coming forward because the platforms, whether it's Google or LinkedIn or Facebook, they want to keep you on that platform even longer, right? So that's what's happening with these changes. So if you realize what they're doing to achieve that, and you feed into it, right? So Google wants content that's called a clickless search. So what you're doing with your regimens is creating results for clickless searches, and Google is going to reward that. And something similar is coming from Facebook. Now, I haven't got into the basics of it yet, but I tell you, next week I'm going to be very busy catching up with the changes because I have clients that depend on me, right? So,
well, you know, what was really interesting as far as that conversation, I uploaded the client's book. It was so funny because it was late Sunday afternoon when I uploaded it. And Monday morning, she went to Google and typed in her name, and up came her book already. Now, I uploaded it to Amazon, but by the next morning, it was already showcasing. It had a picture of her book. It picked up all of her bio, picked up everything. And I hadn't even done my showcase on my page yet. So that was pretty fascinating. I was like, whoa, look at this. It was just so surprising to me.
I'll share something that's kind of cool. So Google Business Profiles use what they call a blended algorithm, right? And so even though you or I might not have a tremendous amount of authority on our websites, certainly Google and Amazon do, right? So when you're utilizing Amazon URLs, Google picks up on the Amazon and pushes it towards the top of the search because of Amazon's authority. So we've got clients really all over the globe that are selling on Amazon, but using Google My Business to drive traffic specifically to their Amazon pages.
So this is an interesting conversation, Craig, and I kind of like, some of our different joint things that we've done. You've given a demonstration. Do you mind just to open up the conversation of how you work and what you do, how that actually happens?
As long as I'm prepared, I got my notes here. That's okay. It's your show, Becky. I'll follow your lead.
All right. So let's have that conversation. And what is the process that you use, and how do you train those that take your courses? Because I know you offer a course, you offer done for you services, and you also offer to train us on how to do this for ourselves. So what's the process, and how do you take advantage of that? And if you would like, you can share your screen.
Well, I'm not prepared to share my screen.
That's okay.
Simply because I have to pick what I can use. I have non-disclosures for a lot of my clients. So opening my screen up shows you their profile. So what I do, it's kind of basic. It's a 5-hour course when I train it. And I also have a website where people can go on and do it yourself. They can watch the videos. And there's like 25 videos on there. But it breaks down. First, we discuss how to build and manage and optimize the Google Business Profile. And then once we have that, and that's 3 classes, then there are 2 classes of what we call visibility regimens. You see, there are a number of Google tools. There's Google Drive, there's Google Forms, there's Google Slides, there's Google Pages. Okay, all of these are free Google tools. All you have to have is a Gmail, right?
Right.
You take these tools, and when you put content into them, it's published directly to the web. So I teach people how to create relevance for their Google Business Profile. You see, most Google Business Profiles only show up when you type in the name of the business in the city and state. That's a guaranteed way to get the Google profile to pop up. But by creating these visibility regimens, in like Bruce's case, maps, Arizona, Michigan, Connecticut, right? So what happens is his Google profile will show up when any of the states, any of the countries, any of the lakes, anything that's on a map could actually trigger Bruce's Google profile, right? So that's really what we do. We create these visibility regimens utilizing the various Google tools and an unknown resource, and I'll tell you right now, there's a secret, Google Groups. Google Groups are searchable on the web, and you do not have to have members, but you can create your content, push it through Google Groups, and instantly you'll start to be found on the web. And it generates relevance for the Google Business Profile.
So one of the things I would add here, that one of the things that we discovered when I worked with Craig was most significant, has been actually probably the most significant thing, is we discovered that I had an old blog, brucejonesdesign.com, that I kind of ignored. I just didn't even pay any attention to it. And through setting up the Google business and kind of cleaning things up, we discovered that's how Google saw me, was this site. that I had been ignoring for about 5 years.
Right.
Wow.
I ignored it. I did things on other blogs, and I just ignored it. It was a pain in the neck. I didn't know what to do with it, but I hadn't killed it. But he showed me that that's actually how Google saw me. That was my site online. So the follow-on from that was that I fixed that site. And then I fixed all the other things because it sort of put things in order. And now, I'm experimenting a little bit with Facebook advertising. That's the site that everybody actually saw that I had no idea that was. So, just being able to sort of be good in Google's eyes has made a huge difference in terms of cleaning all that kind of stuff up. And I'm sure other people are in the same way. You kind of have this site and you have that site.
Right.
I've been online since 1995. So I've been on, over 25 years doing this. And you just kind of go in all these weird directions, and being able to.
Yeah, because we don't understand all the
we don't even
pieces,
know that
the power of it.
Right. That Google's going, this is you, and you're not paying attention to you. And that's really has helped a lot in terms of.
That's right. So what's really interesting, and there is a Google site. It's an AI-created website. You can manipulate it a little bit, but all of the content that you push to Google is actually saved to that site. Now, we can build a website. I can build you a website tomorrow, and I can request that Google crawl it the same day. But Google may or may not crawl it for 4 days or 4 weeks or 2 months, right? And what that crawling the website does is it indexes your content to search. But when you utilize any one of the Google tools, including Gmail, if you wish, you can index content directly to search in seconds. And that's really, I discovered that a number of years ago, and that's really what started this business, was understanding how to index content to search engines. And Bing and Excite and AOL and all of the others, they all follow Google's lead. So it's a pretty robust way to go.
So would it be better if I encourage my authors to have a Google blog page or something on that order?
You could put your blog directly on a Google site. Absolutely.
Right. And that would be better for them because it could be the lead magnet to their book and everything, but because it's on Google, that would get that much more exposure.
Every single sentence would be indexed if you use a Google site.
Wow. And I've used Google Blogger blogs for years.
Yeah.
They're free. What's nice is they're free. You don't have to worry about the security because Google takes care of all that stuff.
Right.
You don't have to worry about anything, and they're free.
Right.
Wow.
And the cool thing is, Bruce, I don't know if you're aware, but there are thousands of media outlets that are following those sites, and when they see your content, it's so easy for them to share it, and then you can have a viral moment at any moment.
Right.
So can you use a free blogger site as kind of your just basically a website, so you're not even having to pay the expense of a website?
Yeah, and you don't have to be, it's a little more limited. Like I have my WordPress site, the Bruce Jones design site, the one that we discovered that Google saw as my site, but I also have Google Blogger sites, and I use them as like a book site, or maybe I have, like some of my books are in series, so there'll be a series site, or, you can put them up and down so quickly, and Google indexes all that stuff that you can just use, and they're versatile enough. You can put video, you can put products on them. They have a sort of maximum of 10 pages, but in reality, unless you're doing a bigger thing, you don't need more than that. You don't need more than 4 or 5 pages for an author, especially for an author. You can get something up extremely quickly, and it's a very versatile way to go. And then if you see some traction, you can always go and build a bigger one. But you don't have to. It can just. I've used many. I have probably 10 or more of them that I use just for different things. I just need a quick site. Boom, you put them up and take them when however you want to do. So
that's a common issue. A common issue for our authors is a lot of them don't have a website or don't want to put the money into whoever they've been using to create a site, but they need to really showcase their book and have a landing page type of an arrangement for it.
Yeah, just putting your book on Amazon isn't going to be enough, especially going forward. But what most people don't realize, and this is really a key to understanding how all of the Google tools work together. Google Business and the related Google tools are actually a social media platform that's only located on search and only available to entrepreneurs and businesses, right? So you don't have the politics, you don't have the he said, she said. All you have is legitimate content that serious people want to see, and that's really why it's growing the way that it is, right?
The other thing I really like about it is Blogger has stats, but you can also tie Google Analytics into it. Yeah. So you can see very quickly, like I always say to people, put your content there, break it into nice discrete component pieces, good title, good thing, little cell at the bottom, but you can see where the world sees you, how the world sees you, and what's important. And then you go, oh, maybe I need to go in this direction, or I'm not covering this, because Google very quickly lets you know, okay, I think I'm important on this, but actually I'm important on this topic. And I didn't even realize that. And that's one of the advantages of doing, what Craig is talking about. But Blogger is a terrific platform. The same thing with YouTube, which is a Google platform.
Right.
You can quickly go, okay, what do people think is important about what I'm releasing? And there it goes. It's all just listed out there. People,
right.
All the data. So.
Yep. And then there's a Google. YouTube is a great place, but if you directly load video to Google, to your Google business profile, it indexes directly to search without the YouTube filter. And that's really cool. I don't know if you've ever done a search where you see a row of videos, right, like the third character down. That's where that content winds up. And
so you actually upload it to your blog or to your profile page?
You upload it directly to Google search. Wow. Right.
So what's the length that you can do a video of that length? Can it be?
Generally no more than 3 minutes, and if it's a really high definition video, you have to compress it. Right. Okay. The HD won't work, but people are on their phones; they don't need HD content anyway.
And you can see, I know, one thing that I'm going to say about Google has gotten so good at giving you results. I mean, they really understand what you're looking for. But you'll see now the Google page, the search page, has changed a lot in terms of the videos that Craig is talking about. All of it's really moving to a real heavy video. Video content is becoming way more important on the sort of the spectrum.
Right.
Than it used to be. So.
Beautiful. So if somebody wanted to really start to tap into using these tools, I talk about the course that you have, a little more in depth on the course that you offer, and then also on the Done For You services.
Okay, shameless plug time. So I have 3 ways that I help people manage their Google profiles and Google tools. The first one is a website. It's tvi.education. And that is a website that allows people to watch videos at their leisure. It's $100 to join a month, but they can watch the videos at their leisure. Whenever Google makes changes, I told you I was going to be busy next week. I've got to remake videos because of the way that we process content is going to change. So that's a really good way for a do-it-yourselfer. And then I have a coaching class, which they can visit darlingdigital.us and click on one-on-one with Craig, and we can talk about it. But in the coaching class, it's a 5-week program. It's just under $1,000. It gives you lifetime access to the videos that I was talking about for free. And then, of course, I can manage the profile completely, which is really how I make my living, is managing the profiles for my client. So 3 different ways. But the most important thing is, even if you don't want to spend the money on me, I get it. I'm not, but get into your profile, play with the tools. You'd be surprised what something that you do that's quite simple will make a difference. And then here's the big deal, the really big deal. The algorithm that collects social media signals is called Pigeon, and that's a Google algorithm. And if you have a Google profile and you use your anchor URL, the URL that's listed in your Google profile, if you use that anchor URL in your social media posts will also instantly index to Google. This is huge Most people don't understand how it works, but we've all seen the results. When you search for something and it says so-and-so is on Facebook and you click it and it says log in for the best experience, they don't have a Google profile. When you click it and it goes right to their page or their content, then they have a Google profile. So if you're
the anchor URL then is their Google page?
Their website. Their URL is their website, their anchor website. Mine is Darling Companies. Thank you for sharing it on the stream there.
And mine would be Bruce Jones Design. That's my
anchor.
Bruce Jones Design. That's your anchor URL. So if you're using that URL that's attached to your Google profile on your social media, every single Facebook post that you make indexes to Google. How strong is that?
I forgot about that. I have to go back and read.
Right.
I know.
That takes you an extra 30 seconds, right? And it's totally powerful. And if we're making Facebook posts anyway, I do every day, right? So if I'm making Facebook posts, why wouldn't I want a long-term residual effect of it?
Right. That's awesome. And so discuss, when somebody takes your course, what did they get from you?
They get my smiling face 5 hours. When they take the course, we sit down and we screen share, and I make you do the courses and do the work, and then I give you homework, and I remember my teachers, and I just love handing out that homework. But then the next week we recap what you've done, and we show you the next step, and then of course you always have my email after that if you have specific questions. And it's really crazy as I've had a number of people go through the course and then sign up for another course, not because they want to take the course, but they want to have the time available to schedule a meeting with me, a one-on-one, if you will, at any time. And so that's actually kind of cool. Very flattering to me that someone would want to do that.
Go ahead, Bruce.
I was going to say is you don't understand it at the point you're taking it necessarily. And you need to kind of digest it and put it in there. And then as you get more knowledge, then things start to become clearer. And then you go up and kind of do it. So
I think the important point is that the classes are actually live one-on-ones. I don't send you to a teachable platform.
Right. Well, because you work totally one-on-one. Bruce, you took the course. What was the biggest change that you experienced?
The biggest change, one, was discovering what Google thought about me. Was, as I said, that was probably one of the biggest things, which sent me down a path of fixing those sites and getting all those sites cleaned up, which I've now done. That was probably the best outcome. I mean, it's nice getting some sales because I'm able to put products up there and kind of spread stuff around. And a lot of it's in the background, so you don't necessarily see, that Google is sending people to your Amazon page. COVID was an enormous change.
Right.
But it was an enormous change in book sales. My book sales went to Christmas level sales pretty much the entire year. It was the best year.
Congratulations.
Yeah, everything jumped because people are home, and so the traffic all went up. And some of my books are coloring books, like the one that's right behind me here.
Right there.
Yeah, that's one of the coloring books. And so people are home and they need books. So I don't always know where that traffic came from, but definitely it all went up tremendously.
Right. I can tell you that without exception, that all of my clients experienced at least a 20% growth during the pandemic.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it was Christmas level sales on all my books, and that has continued. That hasn't really dropped. It's still pretty much there.
Yeah.
So
I think it's changed. I think the world's changed forever. A lot of these people that are working at home, they're not going back to an office ever.
No, and that's totally amazing because my daughter, she works in the medical profession. She heads up 5 different offices for Arizona Oncology, and she was saying that there's so many that are not coming back. They're working directly from home. Even the people that take the transcription of what the doctor's talking to, they just get them on include them in the conversation, and what they're finding is that they're much more efficient. They don't have near the overhead that they were having, and people are happy. People are happy with it.
Yeah, both of my daughters, one's in insurance and one was working at Amazon. She's now is in grad school, but all during COVID, she was in working in Amazon, they were sent home very early. And, they all work in that mode anyways. They all have teams of people from around the world. That was
Right.
They were already in that mode. They just happened to be sitting in a building that was owned by Amazon. Now they're sitting in their house doing the same exact job. So Amazon kind of trained them to work in this remote way. And my other daughter's in insurance, and she's an actuary, and they're not going back for a long time. They're basically not going back until the kids are dealt with, because everybody has kids.
Right.
So
well, the other side of it is that we've seen is the growth in home improvements. Is the people are planning to be home long term, and they're spending thousands of dollars inside their home, making it more livable because they're there 24/7 now.
Right.
It's really an incredible thing. I'm sorry that the pandemic brought this. But I'm not sorry that it happened.
There are changes that were happening anyways. They just sped it up.
Accelerate. Yeah, good point, Chris.
Probably in 1 year. So
Think of what would have happened if COVID had happened 10 years ago. We wouldn't have been ready, but we were able to pick up and say, hey, we're keeping on. And I know for my business, it's been better than it's ever been. Yeah. And
because of the book sales.
Well, because yes, people are buying books, and it's a whole different environment, and people are publishing books more because they had the time to really take for it.
One of the things I wanted to follow on, you asked me about what Craig's course had brought is, one of the things that I teach is putting out your content and then cross-linking it all. And basically what it is using the Google tools is you're cross-linking all of your stuff in one of the biggest search engine and information platform on the planet. And so you're cleaning all of you're going to cross promote in lots of other places. You're going to use YouTubes and social media and stuff, but underneath all of that is Google. And so you're cleaning up and getting all of the Google side of things in order. And that's, you may not see it right away because it's kind of hidden in the background, but you'll notice it, like I said, in my book sales, putting products in with unique pricing so I can see the sale, I can see it in my software sales. It's sort of the invisible giant that's underneath everything. And that's really what, Craig, that's really what you bring is, how do I get all that stuff straight? And what do I need to pay attention to? What do I need to do? What do I need to make the links? And that's what you bring.
So this puts me in mind that I'm working with an author right now. He's a scientist actually, and he's his first book is almost a 800-page book, but he breaks it down into 21 books that are going to be following, and it's on cracking the learning code. And he feels that his teaching, and it's for everything from his first two after this main launch, the first two books are for teachers and for homeschool parents. And then he goes into marketing, using the learning code for marketing. And then he goes into overcoming addictions, the whole thing. There's 21 books that are going to follow. And I want to make that introduction to you, Craig, because we have built, in fact, almost all the people I work with as joint venture partners have been invited into this big launch because there's so much. He has a course to go with each book. It's like a 3-month course and very short, to the point. It's really fascinating. But the biggest thing is he has a lot of investors. He's been working on this a number of years to bring this to, and we're finally to the point where in June we'll be launching this book. But this would be a really good thing to add in for what he's doing, but it's fascinating because it's a lot of the using of the way you speak and the way you learn. He says that you can learn things in 3 to 7 minutes and never forget it if you use a certain kind of learning style. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty amazing because, for me, and getting all the like, but it's tapping into what your interests are.
If we tip our head just the wrong way, it all kind of just spills out.
It's like, where'd it go? I don't remember. I went on vacation for a week and a half, and I come back and I'm like, what was I doing? I don't know. It's like, I don't want to do this. Yeah. So the I want to take just a brief break for right now, kind of give us a chance to refresh for just a minute, and then we'll come back in and we will kind of take the conversation a little bit deeper into the why behind it all. And so let's have just a short break, and we'll come right back. Okay, back to the conversation. So I want to take this a little bit deeper because this is such a pivotal time in history, and Craig, you and I are in several different networking type of things that we interface with, and Bruce is constantly on the scene. He adds wonderful content at all times, and I had a recent author who wrote a book that Outwitting the Manipulator is what the name of the book is called. And they got a lot of good reviews on the book. They've done a really good things, but they wanted to push ahead when I felt that they weren't quite ready for a launch. So now they're asking the question, well, why isn't the book selling and why aren't we doing anything? Well, there were a lot of things that they did not do. And there's even things that I'm waiting for information so that they can give it to me so I can finish some of the work that I do, because I do media kits and book trailer videos and all kinds of great things. But taking this conversation further, what would you suggest, and what would be your process in working with them to help them to get that exposure that they need?
Was that question to Bruce or myself?
You. You. Actually, both of you.
So for a situation like that, I probably would start with the basics, and I would create a Google business profile based on the author's name, if he or she plans to write more books, or you could always create a Google profile for the title of the book. Nothing wrong with that. And then just as you would do a social media strategy, utilize the Google profile to create social media style posts that are directly on Google. And Google, actually, this is really cool. So we don't have to know much. We have to provide this content to Google, and Google will actually search around utilizing whatever math or algorithms that they have to find clients that Google supposes will engage. And that's really the key. So you deliver content, Google will find the people that are most likely to engage, or what I like, most likely to do business with you. They want to keep people on the platform, give people a reason to stay on the platform, read more of your content, for example, and Google will reward you and find the traffic for you. It's not like SEO. And really and truly, if I could say anything, a Google profile is more important than a website.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I see that.
It really, truly is, because you and I can't necessarily compete with Procter and Gamble or I can't think of some of the big publishing companies off the top of my head, but you can't compete with that. But you can level the playing field, and you can utilize Google to level the playing field. And if your content is all right there in a Google profile, that's like a micro website. It's located right on search. It's a social media platform located right on search. I mean, I could go on, and At this point, I'm talking to you and Bruce. I'm probably preaching to the choir. So.
No, you're not, because there will be a lot of listeners, and I share these videos out. So
Cool.
it's important information, because one of the things that I do is I take these videos and share it out on my blog and my social media and different things like that. So, and there's a lot of views,
And I'll share it on my Google platform. Promise.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So when I work with a client, it's pretty simple to just ask them to open up their own Google page or profile page and to be sure to post on it. Those are not that many extra steps, truly.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
5 minutes a day.
Wow.
Right. It takes you 5 minutes to create a Google profile. It takes 5 days to have it verified, and then it takes 5 minutes a day to create visibility for it. That's all. It's just so simple. It's just something that every single entrepreneur, regardless of what the source of your entrepreneurship is, whether it's being a publisher or being a small business guy or being a marketer or being a map generator, right?
Or anything that they're doing.
Anything. And I do tell people, especially salespeople, brand yourself. Make a Google business profile of your name, right? Mm. You can only have one CraigDarling.com, but if there was 50 Craig Darlings in the country, they could each have a Google profile. That's fact. So, brand your name. That's the biggest thing that I could tell anybody. And it's not that difficult. Again, it's not that difficult. You want to not have to search around for the buttons and the clicks? Talk to me. I can show you where everything is, right? But other than that, it's a piece of cake.
Okay, very good. And Bruce, you've been incredibly successful in this conversation. You have talked about how much your books have increased in sales since COVID started. What are some of your tips and tools that you use, the tricks that you use as far as really gaining the exposure? Because this is what the whole purpose of this show is to show authors that there are many tools available to us. There's so much at our fingertips.
So one of the main things that I do, well, actually the main thing that I do is to take my content and break it up into little pieces and post it onto websites. Now that can be text or it can be images. I have clip art, one of the things that I make map clip art, and I have created websites where I take every single map that I have and posted it on a website, just pages of them. And I make sure that the graphics are well titled with a good description. Like, any graphic or picture that comes out of our phone, it's going to be 61246 JPEG, some weird number. We'll make that say, map of Spain with counties, something.
So do you also include a link to your website on that
page? So then every map or every graphic that's on a page is linked to something. I've gone in and given so it's a good graphic with a good description, a good alt tag that helps Google. So the alt tags are really important if you're doing any kind of web stuff. That's the sort of the tag underneath the skin. A good little description. Take that graphic and put a link to wherever it is you want the people to go. So I will send it directly to the page with that product on it. So I may list, hundreds of pictures, and then they all go to hundreds of products. Now you can do the same thing with text. So I'm a kind of a graphics-oriented focused person, so I do it with graphics. But then I also can do it with text. On each piece of text, a good description, good text, and put a sell line at the bottom. Bruce Jones is the author of, check out his latest book at. Right. Every one of those are linked to somewhere. Right. So it's all about giving. It's almost like I call it kind of a wagon wheel approach, where you're sort of spreading stuff around this big circle, and then all either points into you or it points to Amazon, but it points to somewhere where you get people
where there's a connection to you. Yeah, and where you get
to me or to buy or to just you complete the journey. Basically, you reward the person for coming to your site with some kind of a solution. And I use the number 200. 200 is for every 200 visitors that you get, you will get one sale. If you have a site that sort of has about your topic, and you put your products on that, and you give people an easy way to buy them, for about every 200 visitors, you will get a sale. That's 0.5%. Now, you may get it out of 100, you may not. And I recently, my web guy sends me reports every month, and I was having this same conversation with them, and we looked it up, and it was like 198 visitors. Every 198, I got a sale. So you have sort of a metric to work with. So you look at your Google Analytics, you sort of see where people are going. But, you know, even if you didn't do much of anything, you just did that. It doesn't have to be 200 a day. It might be 200 over a month. You'll get a sale out of that.
It's still better than no sale.
Yeah. And the goal is, how can I shrink that down to make it, a week, a month, a week, a day? But it's around that number. So if you're not getting sales, you need to either be more descriptive. You need to make the journey. Like so many authors that I have a large. Because the other thing I was going to say, the thing I do is build community. So I have a large Facebook community. I try to build community and support community. But so many of the authors I work with, they don't even put their books on their websites. Like, put it right up there at the top. Like, this is my
right front and center.
Right front and center. Yeah, I mean, people are coming. People there. Show them your products. Be proud of your product, and give people that clear path. And you are going to sell. I mean, it's almost. I mean, it can be anywhere from selling cars to selling. As I was thinking about, you can sell this. If you make a site all about
that's a rare staple puller.
Yeah, I mean, you could make a site just about staple removers, and write about staple removers, and show pictures of staple removers, and tie this to Staples into Amazon, and you are going to sell staple removers.
Right,
guaranteed, you will sell staple removers. So it's just basically sort of putting those pieces into place, where you talk about your topic, you have something that you can sell easily, and it can be it doesn't have to be staple removers. A PDF, a single page PDF. You give people that clear path that has a button that says buy. You get it to the place that people can buy it, and you're going to track using the tools that Craig is talking about with Google, in your community, and wherever else you're going to put it. You will. Are you going to buy a house out of it? I don't know, but maybe after you add staple removers, you add you add staplers.
You're right. You can always add too. There's a wealth of things that you can do.
A wealth of things you can do. So it's getting your content out there. It's spreading it around. It's using the tools. It's making sure that Google understands your site and make it clear paths to do things. And then we have 2 billion customers on Facebook. I mean, how can we not sell something?
Right. Well, one of the other things that the way I answered this one client that asked me, well, now why am I not selling, is, are you active with social media? Do you post pretty much daily? Are you blogging? Are you getting yourself invited onto podcasts and onto TV shows like this, and into summits, speaking on summits? Yep. All of those are just incredible exposure tools. And you add this into the mix, and then as long as you're consistent and you keep it fresh and keep it interesting, people want to see that. They're looking for stuff. They're looking for the answers. And if they put in a search, like their book is fascinating. And he showed me the other day, well, look at this guy. The covers, while they weren't the same color, were very similar. They were really similar. And yet the other person had not got any reviews on their book. He had not done a lot of things. They had, because of what I had done with them, they had got a lot of exposure. But now that they've, their contract is done, they know that it's time for them to pick up the ball and start carrying it as well, But look at what we have available to us now.
I tell people that the 5 gatekeepers have fallen. So it's broadcasting, marketing, advertising, publishing, and distribution. Those gatekeepers have fallen. They have fallen for long. So broadcasting is we're doing broadcasting. So we're doing it, and we're the same as NBC. It's just somebody could have turned into us. Marketing is your social media. Advertising is using Google and Facebook tools and all the other places. publishing is Amazon, but publishing is not just Amazon, it's Redbubble and Zazzles and Cafe Presses. It's that. And distribution is the print on demand, that we don't need to have inventory. Like, I don't buy these books. They're printed when somebody buys them.
Years ago, you would have had to buy a whole garage full, and
You know,
now we can print, just print and send it to one person. It's wonderful.
If I wanted to start a t-shirt company this afternoon, I can go into Redbubble and I'm in the t-shirt business. It's that fast, and it doesn't cost me anything. But on top of all that, what happened during the last year with COVID was the Zoomification of the world. So Zoom opened up all the people and businesses and services in ways that were resistant to doing video. Like, we couldn't do medical things. We couldn't do legal services over video. We couldn't do any of these things. Well, that's all gone. That's all gone. You want to be in the world, you need to be Zoomified in some way. This is Zoomification, right? We're using StreamYard, but it doesn't matter. We're accepting this tool. And I think, so that resistance has fallen for the whole world. You want to be part of the world, this is how we do it. And whether we go back to where we were before, but we will certainly now be in this world. And then I think the other piece that's fallen there is the willingness to buy over video. So people will now accept, and the easiest example is go into Facebook and just look at QVC and Home Shopping Network. Just search on them on Facebook. Look at what they stream their TV shows on Facebook. Well, I can stream my TV show on Facebook.
And that's what we're doing right now.
That's selling. People are okay with this.
Right.
And so you have this enormous set of tools that's pretty much free. I'll take what you're giving me here, this video, you're going to send me this link. I'll put it on my blog. I'll put it in places. I'll post it. We're amplifying our messages everywhere, but there's so many opportunities to get your message out there and doing what Craig says, you're going to lock all the pieces into the right place so that if you get the Google side working and you have all the other tools, it's an amazing moment. For creating, it's just you have to sort of step out. And
can you imagine what it will be in 10 years if it's growing this much now?
It's going to be next week.
Yeah, I know. I keep thinking about my grandkids because just in, my oldest grandchildren are turning 16 this year, and the change that's just been since they came into the world. And they're at the forefront of, and now, these babies come in, I think they're already got their fingers going on there. They get it. They just understand.
Yeah.
I know my granddaughter just started working at McDonald's last week, and it's like, really? Already?
Yeah, no, not so soon.
I encourage, I've been on advisory boards with some of the colleges and, to the design students. And my message is, especially to the design students, is if you have any inclination of having your own business or selling products, you have this tool set that you have at your disposal as being a design student. But these services are getting easier and easier and easier. Look at something like Canva, Canva.com, the templates that are in there now.
Right.
And you can go to a Redbubble, you can go to a Cafe Press, you can build your products online. So even the design services that I used as a designer, which definitely helped me make a lot of stuff. I can create books because I know how to do it. But those things are all there. Kindle Create, which is the application on Amazon for creating books, they've now added a print version for it. And I think the direction they're going is to have a completely contained book printing tool that you just basically take your files and upload it and you're publishing. So there's so many things that you can take advantage of to just, and it's micro. You do a little here, you do a little there. It isn't like you're going to make that big killing on that bestseller, but you're going to make 20 books, or you're going to have 10 books and t-shirts. You're going to repurpose this content that you're going to have in these books and turn them into, workbooks and, a class like Craig has. You can take any book, every chapter in a book is a video. That's now you have a course. And so all of this, so it's all here, and the tool, this is a TV production studio in our hands.
Right.
Everything is in here. And if you go, people are shooting full movies that you see in the theater on iPhones. It's that good. So, just look around you. And so I just encourage everybody, especially young kids who understand this a lot, but all of us, just start make one thing, like make one page, one PDF that you put up, and see if you can get somebody to give you $1 for it around your information, and that'll get you going. You go, oh, somebody just paid me $1 for this,
Right?
And now you can do 2 things and make that 2 pages and 4 pages and make a video about it. And
right. In fairness to Apple, the iMovie app is pretty sweet.
it's unbelievable. I mean, I just bought a brand new one because my other one's finally just said, it's not working anymore. But the quality in there, and as you can see on any network news show, they use video from everything, so
right.
it doesn't matter. And it's just mostly doing it. I think one of the hardest things to do in the publishing side or any of this is the hitting of the publish button. That's one of the most difficult things that people do, is releasing it. But as you know, Becky, and I know, and Craig knows, the transformation and the learning comes from the other side of that push.
Oh, very
right.
Definitely. Yeah.
As you push that button, you go, oh, that's where the enlightenment comes. That's where the transformation comes. And you can have multiples of those as you just do a little bit and learn a little bit more and a little bit more. It's all sitting here. It's just completely sitting here in front of you. So that's, which is why it's so much fun. Which I don't know why. How I made 50 books? It's like, well, I just keep making more of them because why not?
And they've proven, in the studies that one book is great, if somebody wants to publish one book, but where the success is when there's that author has authored a number of books, because each one, if one person likes one, and they're gonna watch for the other ones. And what I typically do when my authors decide to start publishing more than one is I take and re-upload their book and put links to the other books in it so that they have it. Just so that it's known that they have it.
I have boxes in the garage that are full of series books that I'm waiting for. Right.
Every book.
Oh, look at that. That's cool.
The back of your book, you promote your other books.
Yep.
Good job.
Very, very cool.
Every single one. So I do that in every book. Every book I promote that book, the book you have, because people don't always know where they got it, and they might want to go, I want to buy this. Oh, I see it's Amazon. And then promote your other ones, because again, they probably don't know you have other books. So tell them,
Right.
That's right.
And this is fluid publishing, there's nothing, it's not locked up like it used to be. I mean, I can't change the stapler, but I can change the book and just upload another version.
Absolutely. Because quite a few of my authors do that. They'll say, well, I've grown a lot in the last 2 years, and I want to add this and take that verbiage out because everything's changed for me in this way, and we just re-upload it, just make the changes and upload it, and they're good to go. Well, gentlemen, this has been just such an amazing. This hour's gone really, really fast. So thank you for the wisdom, the amazing both of you are both amazing human beings, and thank you for what you bring to the world and how you serve. And for our authors and for anybody else that is listening or will be listening, take to heart what we've talked about. There's Craig's website, if you can see it scrolling across the bottom, is darlingcompanies.com and brucejonesdesigns.com. Tap into what they're offering. Tap into the wealth of information that they provide. And it's just a little bit of a back thing. Bruce has been doing his maps for a very long time, and many years ago, I homeschooled my children, and I bought those very maps without even knowing Bruce. And I was digging through some of my boxes of old school books that I used with my kids, and your map books were there. So it's super cool.
Yeah, remember, think about print on demand, because there's no inventory, there's no warehouse costs, there's no shipping. They just sit there, and you can sit there for years and years and years. And
pretty cool, pretty amazing. Yep. So thank you both for all the information that you shared today. What a delight to be able to do something like this and to share this wisdom. And I think you and I are on a summit on Tuesday, Craig.
Yes, the Art of Connection Summit.
Yeah.
I am really looking forward to it. I'm going to be glued right here all day long.
All day long.
I guess I'm going to be speaking in a number of little breakout rooms and
Yes,
part
so
of
am I.
the experts panel. However, I can tell you that I look at with awe the other experts that will be on the panel. I'm going to be in some pretty good company, I believe.
Awesome. Well, we have to close our show now. And thank you very much for being here.
All right. See you next
Thank you so much, Becky. Good to see you, Bruce.
Yep.
Thank
You too.
Bye-bye.